Hey there, I'm Yuki from Buffalo Stringworks, and I'm here with Sarah from Communication. And we're super excited to be here with you today. And we are going to be chatting a little bit about El Sistema USA's core value, excellence, which El Sistema USA describes as: we hold ourselves, our member organizations, and our educational values to the highest standards. So here at Buffalo Stringworks, we have 3 results statements that really focus our work in the classrooms. Students demonstrate musical excellence, students are personally empowered, and students are invested in the BSW community. You know, because Sarah and I felt that all of us are probably the most comfortable living in the world of musical excellence, we thought we'd take today's opportunity to just talk about non-musical things that all of us are focused on. So for us at Buffalo Stringworks, I'm going to talk a little bit about students being invested in the BSW community. How do we forge that sense of belonging? We do this in a lot of ways in our classrooms. One of the ways is through our student leadership program. So we just launched this actually in January 2021, so it's brand new. But our students 5th grade and older have an opportunity to apply for a paid leadership position. So they would be applying to either be a student council member or a practice partner. Practice partners are essentially teachers in training, and student council members are kind of what we all think of as what a student council member does. So for example, our student council this year has decided that they would like to focus their efforts on a fundraising concert. And so to really support those intentions, our development director board member is actually coming in and facilitating a professional development for those students and teaching them about fundraising. And then we have a teacher who's facilitating the student council, and she'll be supporting the students in their project from like implementation to execution. And so these are all student-driven ideas. None of it has been driven by any of us adults in the room, and we try to step back as much as we can. And then our practice partners, as I said, are teachers in training, and they're also receiving professional development on how to prepare for a lesson, how to write lesson plans, how to work with a younger student. So again, those are ways that we're hoping to kind of evolve our program to meet the changing needs of our older students as they kind of graduate through the various levels at BSW. I know, though, it's one thing to be talking about student leadership and community investment, but it's another to really evaluate how that's actually being done. And so here I'm just sharing a survey tool that we developed here at BSW with the help of an outside facilitator. So again, these survey questions are really addressing the result statement: students are invested in the BSW community. We're really specific to say at Buffalo Stringworks in all of these questions because we recognize that we can really only be measuring data that's collected within the BSW classrooms. You know, of course, we hope that our students are taking everything they're learning from within our classrooms and bringing them into their own family and social communities and school communities. But that's why we're really specific in all of these questions to, really just make it specific to our classrooms. To be totally honest, these questions are really in its 3rd version form. In 2019 fall, we had a first version that honestly didn't work that well. So we've been revisiting these and revising with our facilitator. And we finally had a data collection point in fall 2020 that we felt like really had some data that we could use to not only report out to the, to our funders and donors and audience members as to what kind of impact we're making with our students, but also to really drive our programming and to find those areas that we can really be improving and making sure that we're meeting the goals that we've set for ourselves. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Sarah at Communication to talk a little bit about her programming and how they address excellence.
Thank you, Yuki. Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about how youth-centeredness is really important to our view of excellence, and specifically youth voice. And there's 3 ways in which we measure that very similarly align with Yuki's. So we use a evaluation tool called the Youth Program Quality Assessment, and we're evaluating program quality in terms of safety, supportiveness, interactiveness, and engagement. And so these first 2, safe and supportive, do youth feel that they are in a safe and supportive environment to express themselves? The second one is that not only do they feel safe and supportive to express themselves, but are they heard? Do they feel like their voice matters? And the third one is how much are we seeing youth collaborate in the daily rehearsals alongside our teaching artists? Is it a democratic classroom? And so 2 ways in which this has been employed, pun intended, is youth repertoire task force, where our youth help our teachers decide what type of music they want to do. And they meet throughout the semester, mostly at the beginning, but throughout, to figure out, what's the best way to teach a piece, what song, why is it a good song? And then our teachers can also present various ideas they have to the youth, and they can vote on those as well. The second thing we do that's very new, so this is still very much in its pilot stage, is a youth employment program. And in the past, this has looked like a camp counselor, someone that youth can just build relationships with, learn how to help us enter attendance into our database, that kind of thing. But this year, I have the wonderful pleasure of working with 5 high schoolers, well, 1 now college freshman, so 4 high schoolers, 1 college freshman, to help us design a high school program. We've acknowledged that, a lot of our high schoolers don't have time for a program every day. So what's something where they can build their own leadership skills and their own employment skills? And so they're going to help us market an event. They're going to help us be the MC at the event. So a lot of youth facilitation. And then they're also going to help us and learn how to interview some community members and asking questions around musical opportunity disparities. So those are just 2 examples of how we make sure that youth voice is a part of our program. So we obviously didn't have a lot of time today, but I just wanted to show you some of the other areas that you could potentially think of excellence in. Of course, the blue, like Yuki said, you're probably very familiar with, musical aptitude, but helping them enhance their social skills, helping, as Yuki said, sense of belonging, helping them understand different cultures, making sure your partnerships of your program align with excellence and they believe in the same similar mission as you. And finally, anything that helps them academically and is inquiry-based learning. So we're so grateful that you took time today to be with us, and we are happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much and have a great afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Laura Patterson, and I'm the Executive Director of Make Music NOLA. Happy Mardi Gras, because it is Mardi Gras week down here in New Orleans. I am here with my colleagues, Colette and Victoria, to talk about the El Sistema value of equity. We are presenting on behalf of our Presto cohort, and I will kick off today's presentation by giving you a quick overview of how Make Music NOLA creates, maintains, and measures equity within our programs and throughout our organization. So we can start by talking about the program was actually founded to fill in the gaps within our charter school network. So we offer group string instruction and K through 4 general music. Before the storm, there were public school orchestra programs in almost every public school in New Orleans, and there was a Saturday program that string players could attend for free. Since our public school system was not rebuilt after the storm, our public school orchestra programs were also not rebuilt. So Make Music NOLA exists to fill that gap, and we work with charter schools to create orchestra programs during the school day, and then we also offer after school programs. And on Saturdays, we have in orchestra, music theory classes, chamber ensemble, and several other electives that students from any of our programs are able to attend. So because we are in New Orleans, our curriculum, especially our orchestra and chamber music ensembles, they focus specifically on arrangements of local New Orleans tunes. So our students may not be out playing second lines or marching in a Mardi Gras parade, but the violin was actually the lead instrument in pre-jazz bands and dance bands back in the early days of jazz. And the reason for that was that violinists did not have to breathe. So we try the best that we can to make sure that all of our students have the opportunity to learn those tunes and to learn about the history of New Orleans and string playing in New Orleans. our team compiled 8 method books by taking the Suzuki book and actually replacing specific pieces with music from Rachel Barton Pine's Music by Black Composers books, folk tunes from the Middle East, and also pop tunes from a variety of different cultures in order to create a method book that focused on multiple genres of music from all over the world. In keeping with our local traditions in New Orleans, our performances focus on culturally relevant events. So our students are out playing at festivals, everything from French Quarter Fest to Jazz Fest, and they've also performed with Opera Creole at the St. Louis Cathedral in Jackson Square with the Pres Hall Band, and they've opened for Big Frida, who is a local New Orleans bounce artist. Look her up if you don't know who she is. We try to hire teachers both locally and nationally. Our first priority when hiring teachers is that they understand equity and anti-racism work. We also incorporate this work into our PD on a regular basis, and we offer training on culturally relevant pedagogy. Not everyone comes into our program knowing a whole lot about New Orleans, but we try to pair them with teachers who are from New Orleans and have a strong understanding of the history, culture, and music of the city. We also ask for student and parent feedback on the curriculum, concerts, our teachers, and their interactions with our staff numerous times throughout the school year, and we take that feedback very seriously and we use it in all of our planning. And we are very fortunate that we have predominantly board members who live in and grew up in the communities where our programs are located. And we even have a few that grew up playing string instruments in New Orleans. And now I will pass it to my wonderful colleague, Victoria, and she can tell you more about Salty Cricket in Salt Lake City.
Thank you, Laura. Our El Sistema program here at Salty Cricket in Salt Lake City exists under the umbrella of Salty Cricket, which is a nonprofit that uses music as the basis of community for anyone who finds themselves in a margin. So we do generational outreach by doing handbell choirs in senior homes. We're working with a series of residential treatment facilities to provide music there as well. So we really look to close gaps and use music as the basis of sustainable, rehabilitative, and connective community. In our El Sistema, the virtue of equity really takes on any number of things, and we could talk for hours about it. However, a few examples are we are strength-based and we are full child and family or support involvement. We don't ever look at our families for what they don't have. We do not refer to anyone as low income, underserved, underrepresented, because those are things that they're not. Instead, we look at them and describe them according to what they are. They are resilient, they are intuitive, they are innovative. And when we ask for involvement, we actually customize volunteer and contribution opportunities to their strengths. So for instance, we have an event monthly called Saturdays with the Symphony, and we do a potluck after the concert because these families by and large feel very confident in the food that they make and they're happy to share it. And so we've created an entire series of programming built around the strengths that the families bring to the table, and that helps ameliorate some of the savioristic impulses and really promotes true equity, which is everyone working from a strength. We do specialized team and board training. The training that I'm most proud of is dialectical behavioral therapy, which is a module that, even though it has the word therapy in it, it exists really just to teach humans how to be good to other humans. And we had it provided in kind through a donation from a local therapist's office. But in this dialectical behavioral therapy, it allows us to understand things like you observe without judging, you tolerate distress, and all of these concepts that are very important when you are looking to live alongside people, engage alongside people and ideas that maybe traditionally haven't been lived alongside of or haven't been engaged. And it helps us once again interact human to human instead of in traditional power dynamics that might undermine equity. We show up in unlikely places, everything from making sure if a student invites us to a baptism or an event that's important to them, we show up there, to making sure that we take our music as a gift to the community when we know a community is hurting, like when a policy was passed and the LGBTQ community was targeted. And we share our music and we share our community freely. We explicitly seek information, which can get very awkward, but we explicitly say, do you have enough food on your shelves? Do you know where to get the eyeglass prescription that you need? And we are explicit in not just offering help as needed, but checking in with our families to make sure that they have the help that they need and that they know they can trust us to help guide them to the right answers that will be best for them. Our curriculum and opportunities, just like in New Orleans, reflect students. We seek to be responsive. We feel that no matter what we're playing, the standard of excellence stays the same and the expectation of personal excellence stays the same. So whether we're approaching Beethoven or Cielito Lindo, we're going to expect students to bring the same rigor. And we look for partners who can actually help us instill in them that this is a culture of passion and a tradition that is worthy of honor, just like when we play Mozart. And our opportunities reflect our students. So we play at Dia de los Muertos because we work predominantly with families who are recent immigrants from Central America. And we also go and play at the Salt Lake Stars basketball game because that feels like to the kids the best way to possibly meet a Utah Jazz player. We seek bold partnerships, and our presence within those partnerships is bold. So we live in a place where there's some really significant tensions between charters and public schools, and we dare to be an organization that straddles that line, partners with both. But while we're there, we have high standards for how our partners will interact with the students that we engage with their families, and how our staff will interact with them. We are passionately against saviorism and any sort of dynamic that would undermine equity by maintaining traditional power dynamics. We seek stakeholder input, whether it's parents, students, our partners, our funders, and we understand that we have to have a growth mindset, that equity is not a destination. Just like fundraising, just like strategic planning, it's something that we're always going to do. And we understand that tomorrow we may know something that we don't know today. And while not knowing something today isn't a referendum on us or the work that we do, not correcting and doing better tomorrow when we know better, that will be a referendum on us. And so we have a growth mindset, understanding that change is inevitable and adaptation is required in order for equity to be really valued. I will now pass it over to Colette from Riverside, California.
Good afternoon. My name is Colette Lee, and I'm with the Riverside Arts Academy in beautiful sunny California. So the Riverside Arts Academy was really founded on equity and social justice. We came about because a program at our local community center that was funded by the city was going to be abandoned, and the community stepped in and said that's not going to happen. So I, along with other leadership groups in our community, particularly the Latino Network, which is our Hispanic leadership, the group, which is our Black leadership, we came together with some city officials and community individuals that wanted to be involved and be able to provide this service to the children of our entire community. So basically, we offer after-school programming for our children at Title I schools. We've done that now for over 3 years, and it's gone very, very well. We also provide Saturday program at our local community center. And at that center, we basically have band, percussion, some strings, and we have another site at the local university that we collaborate with where we have a strings program. Our program is all about bringing the community together, and I'll talk a little bit about that more in this conversation. The other thing that we do, which I think I'm very, very proud of, is we really connect to our parents. We feel that many of our parents feel marginalized. They don't feel like they're part of the community, and it's our job to connect them. So what we've done is we have parent coffee chats. So for the past year, every Saturday for 1 hour before the children's lessons, we get together with the parents. It's really sort of a free scene in which they can talk about how they're doing, how their kids are doing. Our music director can talk about what the kids are studying or what they see. During this time of COVID, where there's been food insecurities, we've also provided and been a resource to our parents to find out if they have any needs in the department of whether it's supplies or food, etc. Um, we've also been able to reach out and work with our school districts to have counselors available on Saturdays at our parent coffee chats to basically help them on how to cope with everything that's going on right now during COVID and their children's lives. And that's been very, very helpful. Another way that we've been able to connect with our parents, because, like Laura and Victoria, you oftentimes feel that the parents, because of either a language barrier, they really don't feel like they're connecting, or they feel like they're part of it, or they don't feel like they're on equal footing. And we try very, very hard to make sure that they know that they're all part of our group, our organization, our family. So having those music notes, which once a week I communicate with the parents, just let them know what's going on, encouraging them how to help their children practice, encouraging them on maybe how to, learn how to help tune the child's violin. Whatever that situation is, we really provide great outreach, and our teaching artists and our instructors just do a wonderful job of embracing the El Sistema model, in the sense that it's very holistic, that we're looking after not only the child, but the family, because it's all about building community. And so you'll see at the bottom of the screen, Power of Community. And I want to bring that to your attention, because this was just an incredible way that not only could we highlight our student musicians, we could bring our community together to honor our healthcare workers and to honor our community leaders, saying that this COVID was not going to get us down, and that we were united, we were one, that we were all going to rise up, we were going to take care of one another, and that we appreciated one another and the support that we were giving each other during this difficult time. So the Riverside Arts Academy has just embraced the entire concept that there's great power in our community, and as a community that we have to look after those that maybe need a little bit of assistance to lift themselves up, to lift their children up, so we can all achieve at a higher level. And we do that through music. So I will pass this on to Laura to do the wrap, and thank you for the opportunity. El Sistema has been a wonderful support system for our organization, and we're incredibly thankful.
Thank you so much, Colette and Victoria, for sharing with everyone today. Thank you all for joining us to hear about equity within our programs. We cannot describe everything that we do to create equitable practices in 8 minutes, but you are welcome to contact any of us with any questions. Also, we just wanted to wrap up by saying that equity is really what drives every decision that we make. And equity is what separates all of our programs from any other music program. So thank you again, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the Presto presentation.
Well, hey, everybody, I'm Carol Burden. I'm the Executive Director of Trenton Music Makers, and I have with me Kathy Rad, who's the Executive Director of Harmony Project Tulsa, and Ian Taylor, who's the Program Director of Project Music. When we had the opportunity to talk about empowerment, we jumped on it. Empowerment is such a powerful North Star when you're working with kids in any kind of circumstance. And as we talked about this subject, what came forward for all of us was that it's the kind of thing that really gets paid forward. The more you exercise it in your life, the more everyone around you experiences it as well and is able to sort of pass it on. In our case, as we think of ourselves as an organization and our relationship with the Presto program and with El Sistema USA, a strategic-minded funder often invests in their grantees in the way that the Presto program has in all of us. We were talking about the fact that empowerment seems to have these common elements of growth of ability, about the development of as a group and as a platform for sharing all of these things. In our case, the Presto program has really invested in all of our understanding of best practices, whether related to administrative functions, development, working with our boards, supporting our programs, building a team atmosphere. These have all been things that we've had an opportunity to check in on at all of our various levels of experience individually. And so in that sense, it has grown our abilities as organizations. And it's done so in an ensemble way. We have a really powerful sense of cohort. I don't think I'm talking out of turn when I say that probably all of us will miss when this grant cycle winds down, working regularly with each other. And we've sort of developed a habit of leaning on each other as colleagues. And finally, we have a platform such as you see at this moment. It's a funny position being Presto grantees because the whole basis of the program was that we are young organizations. And a lot of the time we're here more to learn from folks like you guys who have been doing it longer. And yet having a platform to talk about our experience, I'm hoping that there's some value in that as well. So this is powerful for us as organizations, and it is natural to want to pass that forward to our staff and on to our students. And Kathy, I think you were going to speak a little bit about that.
That's exactly what I try to do as an administrator, a teacher for over, I hate to say 40 years, and a musician, a professional musician. I try to share every bit of knowledge I have with our teaching staff, teaching artists, the students, to make it easier for them, because indeed I've made pretty much every mistake in the book, learned from it, and know how to make it work. So that's my empowerment towards our teachers. The teaching artists really need, I believe, to be free and feel comfortable to teach with whatever method works for them. And it's very important to find teaching artists who, of course, care about the kids and want to share what they know, but often they will bring many more things than I could ever imagine for our kids to experience. So it's important to give teaching artists their empowerment. And of course, that gives the students empowerment because after successfully going through our program, they have the keys to be successful, productive citizens in life. I love it.
And so do I. Thank you for that, Kathy. I think that this framework of the continuum of empowerment is really helpful for all of us to keep in mind. Some gratitude for the empowerment that is granted to us and the responsibility to pass on those opportunities for empowerment down to our students. There are a lot of ways that happens. And, one of the chief ways that we all do that, I think, is empowering our students with the ability to create music, granting them a skill set and a set of knowledge that lets them exercise that skill set, and creating the community, whether it's the ensemble, the entire organization, the cohort of students, so that the students' relationship with their teachers and with the guest artists that they play with and whatever it is, that they have a broader world that they can use, context that they can take advantage of for empowerment. And then the platform, which I think is sometimes the hardest thing for us to do, but something that we all have the capability to do, is creating opportunities for the students to take a leadership role. Sometimes at Project Music, that looks like taking a routine warm-up exercise that a lesson group does, and the students all know well, and asking one of the students to step up and lead us through it today because they all know how it goes. But the chance to be in front of the class and in charge is something that takes some practice. We've also worked this year to be a little more intentional about creating this platform on a regular basis and with a little training on how to handle it. And so our youth development coordinator, Larry Simpson, has been hosting weekly meetings with all of our students where they get some prompts and sort of a format to follow, and then he hands over the reins. And we'll actually share a video of that process with you. And what I hope you all enjoy alongside me is some of the really awkward silences that you'll see in here. And I think it's the hardest thing for all of us in this process, is to allow that to happen, where you see that Larry doesn't step in when I'm sure he's very tempted to see something faltering and put it back into action. But by creating that space, that continues to empower the student leader to figure it out and make it work on their own.
Next on the list is Jorge. Tell me about a time that you did bad self-management or like be irresponsible.
I mean, I really don't. Oh, when I don't care about homework and just like just don't do it.
Okay. Do you like have anything to fix that or not?
Yeah.
Like have you done homework or have you not fixed that?
No, I fixed it by how do you call it? Like since my things are like at 3 or in like the next day, I fix it by just if I already done it, like I'll edit it, or if I haven't done it at all, like I'll just what do you call it? Just like try to finish it in time, or just like from before. If I was working it on before, I would just jot down some notes. Something.
Okay. So one more question. So like what were your thoughts and like what would you be like on the mood meter?
In this situation,
Yes. Like
tense,
say it again.
like tense on the mood meter, like I have to hurry.
Okay.
Welcome. I'm Meryl Cullum, the Director of Music at Wynn Music Community Charter School, and I'm here with Tina Rowan from Accent Pontiac, and together we'll be presenting on impact. First, a little about Wynn. Wynn Music Community Charter School is the first school to be designed and founded on the principles of El Sistema, and is an organic outgrowth of an El Sistema-inspired program, the Wynn Music Project. We seek to create citizen artists who will impact their world in a positive way. In this presentation, we'll be discussing our impact on student academics, family and neighborhood, and global communities. And this presentation will be available offline. Talking about the impact on student academics, every student at Wynn receives both instrumental and vocal music every day as part of their core learning. Our music classes are designed as rehearsals, and students learn skills through this authentic learning situation. In selecting repertoire, we use the expertise of our professional music staff, as well as using the information collected from the family music survey we conduct in the beginning of the school year regarding music in the home. So we have the opportunity to create connections in our community. Remote learning has affected us all, and like many of you, our students have been learning remotely since March 2020. We finished last school year with a 93% attendance rate and 100% access to technology and support, as well as 100% of students having instruments and instrument support. In our current school year, our daily attendance rate continues to be above 95%, and our 213 students continue to have 100% access to technology and support, as well as 100% access to instruments and instrumental support. Our school uses an SIS, a student information system called School Runner. Through this platform, we can enter demographic info, attendance, assessments, generate report cards, etc. It allows us to, quote, measure the impact of our work and consistently drive to improve, unquote, which is the very definition of El Sistema USA's core value of impact. Our music team collaborates on choosing the specific standards assessed by quarter. The assessments are varied, so students can demonstrate their learning through multiple means. We study the trends and make adjustments as necessary, and I'll show you an example of that on the next slide. The impact of being able to track data in our SIS platform is invaluable. We can dive deeply into the nitty-gritty to address gaps in learning by grade, class, and individual student, as well as track this data over time. It allows us to adjust our lesson planning to be sure we're reaching all learners. Because we're a full-day music-based charter school, we have a real opportunity to capitalize on a common language across the school. In math and ELA and science and social studies, students are studying patterns and sequencing, and they're doing the same in music and solfege and rhythm. Students are using close reading strategies and navigating complex text in ELA, but what is sheet music if not complex text? And the same strategies apply. When we use this same language across the disciplines and make these connections for students, they begin to make these connections for themselves. Our nucleo is as important to us as we hope to be to them. We connect to our nucleo during a pandemic through synchronous online classes and personal communication, family music workshops, virtual whole school music projects, virtual home visits, in-person instrumental repairs and tuning of instruments. Keeping instruments tuned and in good repair has to be a priority to us so that it will be a priority to them. As an example of our impact on families, the New York State Department of Education conducted a parent survey on charter schools and remote learning across the state, and WIN scored very high. Our impact is also shown through the testimonials included in the report. They felt emotionally supported from school social workers. WIN continued to be an environment made for learning. Communication was a priority. During live instruction, we create community connections through concerts and open weekly meetings, but during remote learning, there are challenges. In response to this, WIN had the entire school collaborate on a virtual music project. We introduced the project to the families in a virtual family music workshop where parents got to sing through the song with the visual guide with their students explaining their parts. And later in breakout rooms, students got to teach their parents the basics of how to play their instruments. Parents were amazed by their students, appreciated what it takes to play an instrument, and discovered another facet of their student by seeing them in a leadership role. You can find the all-school project on the WIN Music Community Charter Schools YouTube channel. It currently has 851 views, and maybe after today, it will bump to over 1,000. And thank you, El Sistema USA, for sharing it on your site as well. The impact of this project can be shown in some of our parent and student testimonials, most importantly, togetherness and the joy of collaborating. And now I will turn it over to Tina Rowan at Accent Pontiac.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tina Rowan. I'm the Executive Director of Accent Pontiac, an El Sistema-inspired program based in Pontiac, Michigan. Accent Pontiac's mission is to strengthen Pontiac's youth and community through equitable access to intensive and consistent music making. So at Accent Pontiac, the pandemic required us to reflect on impact and then expand the ways in which we think about our impact this year. And since our usual ensemble-based programs were not safe, we had an opportunity to really think about what it means to live out our values as an El Sistema-inspired program during this time. And we were especially thinking about the values of social change, community, and access, and figuring out what it means to be impactful in this context and how to adapt our programs accordingly. So we came up with porch lessons, outdoor, socially distanced lessons at our students' homes. With porch lessons, we could continue music instruction for our kids, and we are also able to become even more embedded in our community and impact our families in different ways. We had developed trust with our students and families in Pontiac, but this trust grew exponentially when we started hosting outdoor lessons at their homes in their neighborhoods. And this put us in a unique situation of being connectors, connecting our families' needs with support being offered by other community organizations, and then creating a structure to ensure that our families received the support that they needed. So depending on what our families needed, a porch lesson might also include a delivery of groceries from another nonprofit or helping students log into their academic virtual instruction. COVID-19 required us to look at impact through a broader lens, and we are grateful to El Sistema USA and to Presto for continuing to support us as we've adapted our programming to have an even broader impact on our kids and our community this year.
So in conclusion, We apply El Sistema USA's core values in all that we do because of the impact it has not only on our students and our community, but on the impact it can have on the global community. We are so very grateful to have been included in the Presto cohort. Thank you.
One core value of El Sistema-inspired programs is community, a word that gets thrown around too often without pausing to reflect about what community means both to those impacted and to those doing the work. El Sistema USA defines this shared community value as one where we encourage collaboration and community building at all levels of our organization. So then, we wanted to take a moment today to look at those levels, to look at the various aspects of community that exist in our programs, and share the ways in which some of us in the Presto cohort have addressed and think about the needs of these communities. We will be discussing 3 levels of community that programs should seek to learn from and cultivate. They are the community we go into, the community of artists, and the community within. To talk about the community we go into is Kyla.
Hi, I'm Kyla Pitts-Zevin. I'm the Development Director at the Northeast Community Center, home of Harmony Project KC in Kansas City. And I'm going to start with a silly question, which is why this community? And the more reasons you have to be working within a community, the stronger your program is going to be. So your why might be geographic based. We're at the Northeast Community Center, so we serve families in the Northeast part of Kansas City. It might be mission based. So you might be partnering with an after school program that shares the same mission that you do to serve kids during out of school hours. Or it may be value based. You know, the people in your community where you live may be saying, we want an arts education program. The more of these reasons that you have, the stronger your relationship with your community will be. I would also say, of course, communication is a huge part of community. That frequent, warm, clear communication on the front end is really important with relationship building. And then asking back, how can we do better? How can we be better for you? What are your needs? There are some different ways that you can do that. We use a parent impact survey, which will be available in the resource bank for you if you want to repurpose it for your own needs in your program. We also do parent cafe listening sessions, but then an equally important part of that is how do we use that survey feedback or what we hear in the listening sessions to adapt our program and make it better for families. So something really important to consider for sure. So now I want to go ahead and pass it along to Aram.
Thank you, Kyla. Hello, I'm Aram Kim Bryan. I work with the Charlotte Symphony's Project Harmony, which is also in partnership with Arts Plus. So, who are the artists? They're your conductors, large ensemble directors, and coaches who are made out of local private teachers, conductors and professors from colleges and universities, classroom teachers from public or private schools, professional musicians from local area symphonies and musical groups. They're interns from local colleges or a student from high school needing volunteer hours. They could also be artists that are not part of the teaching team, but work within the program as administrators and volunteers, or even parents of students that are attending your program. How do we learn from each other? Teachers learn from parents and volunteers so they'll have a better understanding of the community they're in. Interns bring new and different perspectives of music that are being taught and introduced to students. Public or private school teachers share knowledge of students' challenges as they get firsthand experience during the school day. This includes the latest technology being used in their classrooms. And why is it important to build trust within the community of artists? It creates a healthy workplace with less turnover. Building trust among the artists will in turn build trust in the community. Your program will be looked at as a more organized, well-run program versus unorganized, chaotic program. And finally, building trust within your community of artists will help cultivate future artists and staff to your program and other programs like yours. Jared?
Thank you, Aram. I'm Jared Shortmeyer, and I work with the Empire State Youth Orchestra's Chime program. Turning our attention now to the organization itself, the people who do the work, I'll be talking about the community within and raising more questions than answers. Of utmost importance is developing a shared analysis or common language. The very nature of our programs lead to actual silos of team with separate sites and locations. What then are the active tactics that you take to circumvent isolations of experiences and knowledge? Does your board, your faculty, and full-time staff all speak the same language about the work? How often do you address or update your onboarding process? As we know, language evolves over time. Don't be afraid to adjust your common language and the terms that you use. However, it is vital that new language is shared by everyone. To that end, how does your organization address ongoing education? What are the focuses of professional development, and is it reflective of what the teachers and staff need and ask for? Have you made a commitment and set aside the funds and the time for conversations and training? Too often, we think that a singular meeting or training on one topic covers the area completely, but have you scaffolded learning over time and provided enough space for conversations about that learning to have an actual impact? A 5-year-old tool from a training in 2016 certainly isn't going to be able to address all the concerns and issues that we have in 2021. And lastly, and most importantly, how inclusive is the culture of your program? How do you know that your organization is inclusive from within? Are you asking your staff or your board? Are there formal and informal ways in which to discuss issues that arise? For the vast majority of organizations, an inclusive culture will not occur without cultivation. What is the effort that you are placing on active equity and inclusion work? So to wrap up our conversation about community, I'll give it back to Kyla.
So a community is an organism that takes maintenance, it takes cultivation, and of course it takes work, no matter what level it is that we're talking about. The community of children and families that we serve and that we work with, the community of teaching artists that we have, or the community within the organizational community that we all have together. And that work means time, it means money, it means communication, and it also means shared decision-making power as well. Thank you for being with us today on behalf of Aram, Jared, and myself. We appreciate it.